It's a little bit below freezing, and I thought it would be interesting to see how some different fuels perform and just do a little comparison. We have Coleman's Performance Blended Butane and Propane. We have MSR's Iso-Pro, which they label as an all-season fuel blend, including a little snowflake on there. I have Heat from the yellow bottle, with which I would fuel a Fancy Feast stove and a Trangia, and of course the MSR white gas stove. Let's light them up and see how they do. I don't know if we really need it. There is a little scale here to show how high the flames will rise. Actually, we won't. The flames are clear. Yeah, it's burning quite well. I'd say that's about where the top of the flame is. Put 16 ounces of water in that pot. That would be enough to make most camping meals. So we have a boil at about 4 minutes 30 seconds. And it's a solid, strong boil. I do have the stove wide open. This is the Coleman Performance Blended Fuel. Propane butane mix. Same thing, 16 ounces of water, stove wide open. I have to remember to do the little twig trick with this at the end. I didn't do it before I put the water on. It's been 16 minutes. The water hasn't boiled yet. The flame is anemic at best. The water's at 127 degrees Fahrenheit and holding steady. It's nowhere close to boiling. Actually just dropped back down to 126.5. The flame is nearly petered out and died, actually. You can see. There we go. Oh, it doesn't ignite that until it's virtually on top of it. That alcohol is 21 degrees Fahrenheit, 21.4 degrees Fahrenheit. So with an alcohol stove, you're burning the fumes of the alcohol, and when it gets cold, you don't have those vapors. So igniting it will be the difficulty or the question. The lighter itself doesn't seem to want to ignite, which is why I brought matches. I think it's lit. It's coming up the outside. There we go. So there is flame coming up the outside. Of course, the wind will affect the alcohol stove. You can see, once it's warmed up, flames are quite robust. So it looks like we're at a boil with the Fancy Feast stove in about 8 minutes. I've pre-filled the Trangia with alcohol and got it down to the ambient outdoor temperature. There we go. So if it doesn't want to light, another thing I've done before, there's a little lip around the outside of the stove. Splash just a little alcohol in there to prime it. Your Zippo windproof. Should light the stove. Priming the MSR white gas stove. There we go. Call that 7 minutes and 30 seconds to a full boil with the white gas stove, the MSR. And again, that I just barely cracked the valve on that. I did not have it wide open at all. Right, we're at minus 24 degrees Celsius, about minus 12 degrees Fahrenheit, and there's a little bit of wind blowing. It's cold out here. So I have the Coleman Performance Blend fuel on the pocket rocket. Before we even try to light it, while we're out here in the extreme cold, is something to be aware of. Butane lighters don't seem to work in the cold. There may be a spark that would cause an ignition if you have a volatile fuel, but the lighter itself doesn't work in these temperatures, at least it doesn't seem to. So don't leave these laying out, keep them in your pocket, and if you're going out in cold temperatures, have a backup plan. It's even more important than usual to have a backup source of fire. Here's a Zippo, windproof. I just fueled it up, I lit it inside, and I left it out here for a couple hours. Again, it sparks, but it doesn't work. So you could maybe use the spark if you had a volatile fuel, but the lighter itself, no flame. So the Performance Blend is not performing here at minus 24 centigrade. It sort of lit. That's about where the flame is. I seriously doubt there's enough going on there to boil water. We'll see. We'll give it several minutes and find out what happens. The stove ran for about 5 minutes and it is now out. OWT out. That stove is out. Not really all season when you're in the North Country. So we're over by the barn to get out of the wind. We'll look at alcohol stoves. I know someone's going to tell me, well, don't worry about alcohol stoves in the cold. You can just put the alcohol in a container and keep it in an inside pocket to keep it warm, and then that will allow it to ignite pretty easily. Probably true. The real problem with alcohol stoves in the winter is a lot of the times you'll need to melt and boil snow to get your drinking water, and you'd have to carry a huge amount of alcohol with you to melt enough snow for cooking and drinking. Moved into the barn to get out of the wind, which may be cheating a little bit, but makes my life a lot more pleasant. Here we have the cold alcohol. Which actually did ignite, barely. We'll see if it blooms. I held the match basically in the alcohol, and you could hear it sizzle. It's definitely not burning too vigorously. Should have had that on my carbon felt to begin with. Oh, it's been about 5 minutes and the stove has finally really taken off. Full boil. And we're at about 12 minutes. Well, I was packing everything up and I realized I forgot I had one more fire lighting device with me. This is they call it a permanent match or a forever match. It's a ferro rod with a little wick around the end. This receptacle holds lighter fluid and it has a striker on the outside. I'm getting a good spark. Ah, there we go. I did get it to light. It took a while. It's interesting that the Zippo didn't work, but this did.